Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Alanna Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. My day's been, a little trying, a lot weird. Yesterday, my landlord texted me and said that we were going to have the water shut off for the whole day. Wasn't thrilled about that. I mean, 7 times now the water has been shut off, and we've lived here less than a year. Not cool, man. This time, though, it was the city decided to shut off the water to the residents of the east side. And I'm in the east side. So they were going to do some kind of maintenance on a line or something. And, I thought, at least this time, it's not the bad water juju. It's not the bad karma that has to do with this building in particular. At least this time, it only has to do with, the city water and maybe the regular maintenance of lines or something. Not going to mention the bodies that have floated down the river twice in the past month. No. Not going to talk about that. So anyway, the water was off and they were shutting it off from 7 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. So I stayed up all night, went to bed about 7 in the morning thinking I'd sleep my way through the whole day. But I did manage to get several containers filled with water before they shut it off, just so I could, wash my hands or, in case there's any, disaster where we need to clean up something or make coffee, all that. For just drinking straight water, I buy it at the store. I don't trust it except to make coffee. Even though it's technically the best water, in all of South America is here. Supposedly. So, that's what they told me in Detroit, and we know how Michigan water turned out. So, I take most of it with a grain of salt. Probably should take it with a lot more salt to kill germs. I'm just kidding. No, it's actually pretty good water. But in this building, there are issues with water in the pipes, and I don't know why. I don't know why. And it's super frustrating. So, all day long, no water. I woke up about 2 in the afternoon. It's okay. I can live without water for 2 hours. I'm good. At 3:45, the water turns back on. And obviously, there's tons of air in the lines, and it's ridiculous. You know how that goes. You turn on all the faucets, get the air out of the lines, and the water's spittering and spattering everywhere. And it's obnoxious. It's obnoxious. So everything was great. We're like, thank God. We got water. We're good to go. Everything's going to be great again. Within 2 hours, I kid you not, a water main breaks in front of our frickin' building after all the water crews go home. And they weren't fixing the pipe in front of our building. Oh, no. They were fixing it somewhere else in the city. But it was this side of the town. So in front of our house, talk about the bad water karma again, the bad juju with the water or water spirits maybe. Boom, right in front of our house, big fat flood. Huge flood from a sewer pipe burst. Once again, we don't have water. It's like excruciatingly frustrating, And I told my landlord, okay, so the water main broke. And he says, they said it was going to be fixed by 4 in the afternoon. I'm like, it was. But after it was fixed, it broke again in front of the frickin' building. What happened here? What's the bad water karma here? With this building in particular, why? And he says, I don't know anything about that. It has to do with the city, not us. I'm like, it's happening in front of the building. There's a water main up and down the street for miles. why exactly in front of the building we had a flood here. And he goes, wow, that sucks. That's what the landlord says. Wow, that sucks. I'm like, well, this guy's not going to help me. He doesn't know. He has no clue spiritually. He doesn't pay attention to anything in this realm, so he doesn't see the greater picture of anything. Nice guy though, real sweet person, but I'm like, well, I'm not gonna get anywhere with this guy, so whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay. So another couple hours, the water main is fixed, everything is good again. Thank God they were working after hours, and everything is good. All right, fine. 2 to 3 hours go by, and we hear another pipe burst inside the building. Upstairs. Thank God not on our half of the building, the other half of the building. Now we're getting cracks in the frickin' ceilings. Cracks are wet and opening up. And the people are like, I don't know, what do we do? Let's just stand around with our thumbs up our you-know-whats and do nothing for like 20 frickin' minutes. It's like, turn off the frickin' water. That's the clue. And then they turned off the water. And then 10 minutes later, they turned it back on again. And it's like trickling down the frickin' staircase. We're in a 5-story building. It's trickling down. It's flooding downstairs. Inside the building, there's a flood. And then after 10 minutes of, don't know what to do again, then they turned off the water again. And then 20 minutes later, they went ahead and turned on the water again. And it's flooding downstairs. The same damn thing. Like, what the hell is wrong with people? And what the hell is wrong with the water juju here? It's like really bad, like bad water karma. And we're just like, this is like not only just going down the stairs, it's like trickling into the freaking electrical systems. It's getting in the cracks. We're scared of an electrical fire. We're scared the building's just going to freaking crumble and collapse. It's like if we were having an earthquake right now at this time, I mean, that would not be good, dude. I'm scared. I don't know. I know I have to get out of the building. My higher guidance says in 4 to 6 months, an opportunity will present itself in which we're going to be able to buy a house here. I don't know what that means because I don't have money to buy a house, but hopefully things will get better. But it's like crazy, right? I mean, it's just so frustrating. And I've had a lot of water issues around me, like near me. Like the water wars in Peru. We got through that okay, but that was really hard. When the water got turned back on after like 7 to 10 days without water, there was bacteria in the water and we didn't know. And even though we boiled water, we had cooked with it and stuff. Everyone in my family got H. pylori and we were really sick. And now 14 days we have to go on medication to get rid of it. It was ridiculous. And now we all have H. pylori even still, even though we got rid of it. Now we're like more prone to it. My kids were always prone to it. Now I'm more prone to it. It's like water issues suck, man. It's like a basic human right, like to have potable water. And so many people in the world don't have it. And I don't know. I've been talking to people in other countries. There's a man in Ghana. I gave him some ideas. I'm like, look, it's not very expensive. It's very, very cheap to pull water out of the air. You don't have to pay your bills anymore. For most of your water, you could get it directly from the air and it's already filtered. And I told him the way to do it with the filter and everything. But it's just, I don't know, man. I worry about people who don't have water every day. But the fact that this keeps happening in this building, which is new-ish, I don't know. And they're trying to sell, and they're like trying to sell one of the apartments for $85,000 in this building. I know I would never buy in this building, not even for $60,000. I wouldn't buy an apartment in this building. I love my apartment. It's beautiful, but not with all the water issues. No way. So scary. But I I don't know. I don't know. I've got to contact the water spirits, see what happens. I mean, something happened that made the fairies mad. Don't ever do anything to piss off the fairies, especially the water fairies. I mean, that's like the worst thing you can do, clearly. Anyway, so I asked my higher guidance before we got on here, and our Ascension Symptoms Scale today is 91. It's not bad. It's going down a little bit, so we're probably going to start to feel a little bit better. But over the past few days, it's been reported, and it's not only something I'm feeling and my kid is feeling, but a lot of people around the globe are reporting the same symptoms, brand new symptoms for the week. The same old, as far as the ringing in the ears and throat chakra issues we've been having for the past month or two. The immune system thing started 4 or 5 days ago, where our immune systems are being completely revamped. So expect, there might be a couple snags as far as being sick or not feeling good, being under the weather, mentally foggy, a little bit sleepy, tired, not together, not totally, with it. Sore throat has been a massive one, even if you're not sick, just sore throat, swollen throat. Paul Butler reported on his channel today that he couldn't even swallow water when he was trying to drink water. And me too, yesterday, same thing. I couldn't even swallow water. I was just like, what the hell? Like, my throat was swollen. My tongue feels swollen. My mouth is swollen inside. But I'm glad to know that other people are reporting the same thing, because now I feel like, all right, well, I thought maybe it's because I was sick, but now other people are going through it. So if you're going through it, chances are it's an ascension symptom and not just you. I've been having swollen eyes. I keep waking up with swollen eyes, sinus issues. What else? I think that's about it. The water weight issues I'm still having, but it's not as bad as it was. It's still pretty prominent, though. I'm still holding the light, and and the other day, the copper code's coming down. Well, other people have now been reporting in the past 24 hours that there's silver codes and gold codes coming from the sun. Sounds strange, but if you could see into the other realms, like close your eyes and use your third eye, you could see it, like strands coming down, and it's like we're downloading like these messages, codes that come in light from the sun, and it's being decoded by our DNA, and it's activating our strands of DNA. It's activating codons in our DNA. It sounds completely insane, I know, but I've been dealing with this for a while, and I know that all my DNA has been connected for a while. How we used to be a 2 DNA strand creatures. Now we are 12 strand creatures. So we're creatures with features. It's why a lot of our telepathy is coming online, and psychic ability, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get more and more. I just feel like it. I'm now able to connect with people in my ancestry line. People that lived hundreds of years ago have started to contact me. Anytime I think of anyone who's deceased, if I have any kind of emotion towards that person, usually that person's spirit is with me in a heartbeat. If I think about somebody, they're like with me within minutes. And that's kind of strange. It happened sometimes before, but not every time. Now it's like every time. If that person's spirit's available, they're like, boom, they're right with me in the room, and I can have a conversation. So if I wonder about somebody, boom, they're in the room. If they're deceased. So basically, communication with the dead has been increased, is what it is. So anyway, the Schumann Resonance today was very, very mild, very light, only 20 hertz. frequency occurred at 4 a.m. UTC time, and then it just dissipated slowly and dissolved back into the normal baseline of 7.83 hertz. So I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's a calmer day, more relaxed, except for those of us with water issues. But for the most part, it's okay. It's been an okay day. It's been good. We had a lot of rain today, but it wasn't heavy rain, but it was nice. The skies were like a beautiful dark blue gray. Even in rain, it's beautiful here. A lot of fog. We had a lot of fog today. It was very mystical looking outside. It was cool. But anyway, when I come back, I'm going to change gears again, and I'm going to go into detail all of my UFO sightings that occurred in Santa Barbara. So I moved to Santa Barbara in, 1987, right after the harmonic convergence. And I think it's about 90. Oh gosh, I don't know. I've got to come up, I got to figure out the timeline. Excuse me. I wrote 92 to 94, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's when I was in Northridge, so that's not true. So I moved there in 87. I went to school in 88. And the UFO flap, I think, started in 89 to like 91, or 89 to 90 is when I saw these UFOs. So pretty crazy. And maybe it's even in 88 to 1990, I think. So it wasn't just me. I mean, there were so many people seeing them. And when we tried to report them, nobody cared. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I have some coconut water here. This is a quick little crazy story. I ordered food from this restaurant, and I decided to order coconut water. It was on their menu, and I live in the land of coconuts, so I thought, good, local coconuts, right? I get this can, and it's filled with, I mean, it's delicious, by the way. If you ever get your hands on, the brand is My Way Agua de Coco, or My Way Coconut Water. And the can is green and white. It's refreshing looking. Beautiful art. Well, this is coconuts from Thailand. Why are we're in coconut land? Why are we importing coconuts from Thailand? Is that not the craziest thing? Anyway, it's got pulp of the coconut in it, and it's fresh. It's like I just cracked it open with a machete myself, and I'm drinking it with a straw, is what it's like. I've done that in Mexico and Guatemala, oh God, dozens of times, and it's just like that. It's phenomenal. I don't know if you ever have the opportunity to get coconut water fresh. I highly recommend it, although the more mature coconuts are sweeter coconut oil, but this is our coconut water, but this is so strange. It's just water, the coconut water, a little bit of sugar, and vitamin E with the pulp of the coconut in the water of the coconut's first ingredient. So, but I'm like, why are we importing it from Thailand? How weird, right? It's excellent though. Coconut water locally doesn't taste this good, so it's not just the sugar, it's just the flavor of the coconut. It's like traditional coconut, like what you put on a German chocolate cake. Here the coconuts taste a little different. I think it's a different species or something. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because how weird, right? Another water issue. I'm just kidding. Totally different kind of water, but very, very weird. Anyway, when I come right back, we're going to talk about all my UFO experiences in Santa Barbara after this. Hey you, have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you could get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. I attended Santa Barbara City College from 1988 to 1991. And in 1989, I started seeing UFOs. I saw them for about 2 years on and off, 1989 to 1990. And I don't know, guys. I mean, these stories I'm going to tell you are pretty trippy. Now, if you go online right now and look up the UFO that was filmed over Austin, Texas this week, it's a triangular craft and there's 3 main white lights on each of the points of the UFO. Pretty much what I saw repeatedly, like almost daily. I mean, I got so used to seeing it that I was just like, I'd be talking to somebody and I'd be like staring up at the sky and they're like, what are you looking at? It's like, oh, I'm looking for the UFOs. I see them every single night. And usually the person I'd be with would be like a skeptic. Oh, I don't believe in UFOs. Well, just crane your neck a couple seconds, look up. It's right frickin' there. You know, it's like it was starting to really piss me off, some of these people, you know. Like it happened like 4 or 5 times. Oh, you're crazy. UFOs don't exist. They're not real. And they go into this mode of now they're like in environmental hypnosis and they're scared and they won't look up. And it's like, just look up. Be informed. You could call me crazy after you don't see it, you know. It wasn't like a satellite going. I know what satellites look like. I mean, these were huge, like football stadium huge, right? You know, but they were way up in the air, but they looked like they were enormous. And I'm not the only one that saw them. So I'm going to go over some of these. some of these sightings that I had. I can't tell you every single one of them because it was literally every day. Every single day. It's like as soon as the sun went down, here come the UFOs. Or maybe during the day they were there too, but I didn't look in the daytime. I just, always thought, okay, it's dark. Now I'm scared because here comes the UFOs. So, let's see here. After this started happening, I do want to mention this before I get into the actual stories. After this started happening and I saw absolute, beyond a shadow of a doubt, real UFOs, I would call the Air Force, and I called the airport, and I called the police, and they all basically poo-pooed me like, it's not true, it's not real. We don't really believe in UFOs, so there's no way you could have seen something. And it's like, really? Because, there's a reason they started Project Blue Book in the Air Force back in the 70s or 60s, maybe. Why would they have that if they didn't believe it was possible? And it turns out, I think that they were just a disinformation, dissemination of disinformation campaign. I just feel like it was just meant to be like, yeah, it's not real. None of it's real. It's all crap. I mean, the minute that Trump got into office, the CIA just released all the freaking documents. You could go online and look them up and see that hundreds of thousands of files are on UFOs and aliens and extraterrestrial biological entities, EBEs. I mean, there's so much footage now. There's so much footage, like every single day there's footage. Other countries have well admitted it to the people and to the world that, yeah, of course we have UFOs. It's true. A lot of people have seen beings. There's a lot of footage of beings now. So we're not really able to be ostriches anymore about this. Can't just stick our heads in the sand and hope it all goes away. Cows are being mutilated, crop circles are being formed, people are going missing. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people have gone missing, straight up missing, and only out of national parks in the United States. That's specifically what I'm talking about. Missing 411 is a book. I think it might be a documentary now too. Just look that up on YouTube or just on, do a Google search or a Bing search. You'll see what I mean. You'll never want to go to a national park again, and you're not really going to want to hang out outside much. But they're not all malevolent, but they're also not all benevolent. It's a really freaky thing. I mean, we don't know what they are. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I'm just going to tell you of the actual UFO crafts that I've seen. So when I first noticed them, they were kind of high up in the sky and they were triangular shaped, and I could see way down the coast. And I used to go to the beach all the time, in the day, in the night, didn't matter. I love the beach. I mean, I'm a redhead with very pale skin. I prefer the beach at night, basically because I'm not going to get burned. Plus, I'm not going to blind anybody with my super pale skin. But, I mean, this is really, really crazy. So I saw them hopping in and out of existence. Like, ooh, there's a UFO, and then blip, it's gone. Keep watching, maybe it'll come back. And then all of a sudden, blip, it's back in. Focus, closer now. And then blip, and it's gone again. And then bloop, and it's right next to me. And it's like they hop in and out of existence. Now, I had seen this many times, and I told my boyfriend, I said, you know what? I want you to go watch for UFOs with me. I'm going to show you how they travel. There's like a straight line up and down the coast over Santa Barbara. And I just like, it's like over there, and then it's going to go over there, and then it's going to go there, and then it's going to go there. I can predict it because I saw it every frickin' night that I went to the beach. I saw it. If I had gone 300 nights, I think I would have seen it 300 times. I mean, it was like that predictable. And when I tried to tell anyone about this, they would say, well, the U.S. has this, black triangular shaped craft now, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, sure. Does it blip in and out of existence and go super, super slow? Like it's a kite hanging in the air without any sound like a helicopter would make? Oh, no, it travels 200 and some odd miles an hour, or 300 miles an hour, and it's super fast and only travels in the upper atmosphere or whatever, or like way, way above the earth. Oh, okay. So in other words, you're trying to tell me that what I'm seeing is that, except it's nothing like that at all. Oh yeah, right. Okay. And then they would just go like, they're bored with the situation, with the conversation, and then they would like want to leave immediately. I mean, when I tried to talk to teachers about it, when I tried to talk to anybody in some kind of authority, it was almost like their minds couldn't handle the reality of what I was trying to tell them. So basically, I noticed that they're hopping in and out of existence. Well, I'd say, I guess the first time, trying to think, the timeline is kind of fuzzy. It's been years, but the stories themselves are not fuzzy to me, as it feels like it happened like a month ago. This is like so intensely like, what? This is really real. So I was seeing these all the time. I started seeing a massage therapist, and I asked her if she'd ever seen a UFO around Santa Barbara. She's like, oh my God, I see them almost every day. If I walk outside in the morning, there's a UFO. If I walk outside in the afternoon, there's a UFO. She's like, I'm starting to try to communicate with them telepathically because I'm seeing them all the time and I want to know what they are and why they're there. And she's like, I kind of feel like they're Pleiadian, like light ships or something. Like they're like very, very pale. And they're like triangular shaped. Sometimes what I'm seeing is like round, like a saucer shaped, sometimes like a circle, or like a sphere. She's like, I've seen 3 or 4 different kinds, but it's every day. And I could be with a crowd of people and maybe 2 or 3 people see it and 10 people don't. She said the majority of the people cannot see them. And I think because I meditate and I raise my vibration, I could see what other people can't see. I'm like, yeah, I believed that. I believed her. She was very spiritual, and she came up with her own herbal concoction to massage people with, and she massaged people very light, but then the herbs would sink in and the muscles would relax over the next 24 hours. She was fabulous, really sweet person, really, really sweet. But she was my friend's best friend from high school's mom, and so she was like, I think she charged me $4 for the massage. It was like ridiculously low. Everyone else, she charged like $30 an hour. But it was just because I was a poor starving student and friends of her daughter's friends, Well, that gave me encouragement. At least I knew I wasn't the only one seeing them. And I'm like, what about at night? She's like, oh yeah, I see those too. And she had seen the triangular craft at night. I'm like, all right, I don't feel like I'm completely crazy. My friend thought I was crazy. But at least I met one person who's like, yeah, no, they're totally there. And she told me that she had 2 or 3 friends in the New Age community there that definitely saw them. I'm like, okay, cool. So at least there's that. So I felt good. I felt encouraged. And I had taken my boyfriend to the beach to watch for the UFO. I'm like, you've got to see the frickin' UFO. And he believed me. He was like, okay. He was scared, And actually, before that, I had been shopping at this store, And it was like a little pharmacy or whatever. And this book had just came out. It was brand new. Whitley Strieber's Communion, with the face on the cover. You know what I mean? The face. And I just stood and stared at that book going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, why is that so familiar to me? Why am I terrified and I can't move? And I felt like a deer caught in headlights for like 10 minutes. I was absolutely terrified of the figure on the book. I was afraid to touch the book. I was just like freaking out. I'm like, what is happening? So I knew I'd been abducted like many times, but I didn't have a conscious recollection of it. And I started to get more and more interested in it. And that's when I went and I started reading Bud Hopkins' work. I started reading all this other stuff. And I started realizing, oh my God, like I'm being abducted. And I know I've seen ships. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in the skies. You know, even in Minnesota, growing up my whole life, I've been abducted since I was a baby. So I knew it was happening, but it was finally in my conscious awareness. So after seeing the UFOs quite a bit, I took my boyfriend at the time. I said, let's go. And I'm like, look, I have an idea. Let's go to Caesar to get pizza. And we'll go to the beach. Go to the beach. Just kidding. So we'll go to the beach. We'll go like to the cliff beach. So basically, there's a parking lot there. We parked on the cliff, which there's a parking lot, it's a park, and the cliff is overlooking the ocean. It's like really romantic. Santa Barbara is a gorgeous place. If you've never been, go. By all means, go. But very spiritual place. So I'm sitting there with him, and the pizza is too hot to eat, and we know it's going to take like 10 minutes to 20 minutes to cool it down. So we decide, we were in a little Toyota, like a 78 Toyota Corolla. We put it up on the dash. And, you know, back in the day, you know, you buy one, you get one free. It was just the way that Caesar operated. They didn't deliver, so you saved money on the delivery. You had to go pick it up. So I'm like, since you have to pick it up anyway, might as well, you know. And it was fresh from the oven, made to order, and it was too hot to eat. So we just started looking around. You know, let's look at the ocean. It's beautiful. Look over to the right, and there's this person rocking back and forth and crying uncontrollably. And we're like, well, that's odd. Wonder what's up with that person. And my boyfriend said, well, maybe they're schizophrenic or something, you know, maybe they're mentally ill. There's a lot of mentally ill, you know, people here, because he was working with them. So he had his skewed version of things. Like, yeah, maybe they, you know, broke up with their sweetheart, you know, like, so we started like speculating just, you know, what you do when you don't know anything about somebody, and maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Hey, maybe it's that. Maybe they spilled their milk. Maybe they broke their shoelace, you know. Maybe they had to fight their mom, you know. Just whatever stupid thing. And then this person started wailing out like they're absolutely terrified. Oh, you know, just this horrible, gut-wrenching, blood-curdling wail. And we're like, what the hell? We're like, you know, I don't want to look at that anymore. Let's look at the other side. So we all turn our heads to, or both of us turn our heads to the left. And there's like a crowd of 10 people staring up at the sky, pointing, and they have their hands over their eyes as if they're shielding themselves from the sun, which was insane because it was nighttime. We saw 3 people do that. And like, what are they doing? It was really weird, right? One woman had a visor on, like she'd just come back from the golf course, which was also very weird because it was at night. But it was warm out. It was, you know, I think spring or summer, I don't know, but it was warm out. Probably in the spring, I think, because I was still in school. You know, I wasn't in my summer break. But we look up, I'm like, okay, look, here comes a UFO. That's what they're looking at. And they were all looking for the UFO. They knew it was going to be there. And so we look up, and all of a sudden, blip, there's the UFO. And I said, there it is. There it is. And my boyfriend's name was Bob. I'm like, Bob, there it is. There's a UFO. I told you. I felt so vindicated. I'm like, you see it, right? And he's like, yeah, that's a UFO. And then all of a sudden it blipped out and it blipped in again. And I'm like, it's going to blip in again just right now. 1, 2, boom, there it is. And he's like, oh, yeah, holy crap. It's so much closer. I go, now it's going to blip out and it's not going to blip back in until way past us. This took place over the course of maybe 5 minutes. So now the pizza is a little cooled off, right? But not enough. We were like, oh, it's still warm. It's still warm. So I don't know. I think we're just going to wait a little longer, right? So then we noticed, this is really freaking weird. Right directly in front of us, there was a barbecue pit, like a grill. And when we first pulled up, there was nothing in it. Maybe some old charcoal, nothing more. Well, now we notice that there's a little red light in the barbecue pit. And it looked like a laser light, like someone would shine a laser light, but there was no laser leading to it. It was just almost like someone was inside the barbecue pit, which is insane. It's like 1.5 feet by a foot. You know, it's like small. No one's there. We could clearly see that no one's there. But it started glowing like an ember. And it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And when I say it's right in front of us, it's like, I don't know, 10 feet, not even, maybe 7 feet from the car. And he's like, I don't know, what is that? That was weird. And we started staring at it. And it just got brighter and brighter and brighter. And he's like, I'm like starting to freak out. I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm like, whoa, do you want to move? He's like, no. Like, that was weird. It was like another 5 minutes this thing was in the barbecue pit. And then all of a sudden it just, gone. That was weird. Well, it's been about 10 minutes. Let's eat our pizza. We go to get our pizza. It's ice frickin' cold. My boyfriend starts to completely freak out. He goes, something happened to us. Something happened to us. I know something happened to us. And I started freaking out too. The pizza was so cold. It felt like it had been in a refrigerator. But only 10 minutes has passed. We look and the people are gone. The wailing person is just, I can't remember if they were there or not. I think if they were calm. Because they weren't wailing anymore. They were just kind of, shaking. I kind of remember that at one point the person was shaking and stopped wailing, but I don't remember if it was before or after the light. But I do remember that light. And we looked at the time, and Caesar's closed at that time, at 10 o'clock at night promptly. In fact, sometimes 5 to 10 minutes early they would close. It took us 5-10 minutes, not even 10, like 5, 6, 7 minutes to drive to that park. And the whole thing with the person wailing and the people looking up and the UFO, all of that took place in what seems to be 10 or 20 minutes. So it would have been 10:30, right? You would think. It was 11:36. We had an hour missing time. We get home, my boyfriend starts panicking and freaking out, completely freaking out, shaking, scared to death, doesn't know what the hell happened, but something happened. And he's like, I think they probed me or something. I'm freaking out. I feel violated, like raped, or, like he was just like, I don't know. He was freaking out. I'm like, yeah, they do that to me. They've been doing that to me my whole life, and they've probably been taking you too. And now that you're with me, they're definitely going to take you more if they weren't already. And he's like, and I'm like all calm about it, but I'm still kind of freaking out inside. Well, that was the first story. Now, within a month or something, I had a feeling about it again. And I called my friend Mike and I said, okay, look, this is the deal. Every freaking night I'm seeing UFOs. And every freaking night he's like, some people see it, some people don't. And I called him a lot. We were talking about it, and he knew that this was going on. Well, one night I have a feeling that I have to go now. And I'm getting like a telepathic message from them, whoever they are. And they said, go to the beach now. And I'm like, but I don't, this is before I had a car. I'm like, I don't have a car and I can't get to the beach now. I don't want to ride my bike at night, and it's not because it's not safe. Even though I had a little bike light, it really wasn't safe. And, and I'd been riding my bike all day. I'm like, no, I can't go. And they said, go now. And I'm like arguing with the telepathic voices in my head, right? And then my friend called me within like 2 minutes of this conversation. And I feel like I'm going crazy, like what is happening? And he calls me and he's like, hey, I think we should go to the beach. Well, that's a great idea. Let's go. I'm like, thank you guys. You got me a ride. Cool, right? So I'm like, bring a flashlight. I'll explain later. And he's like, okay. And I go, if you have a camera, bring a camera. He's like, okay. So he shows up with bottles of water for each of us, a camera, and a flashlight. And he says, well, the restaurant is closing and the gate to the Royal Borough Beach is closed and locked when the restaurant closes, so we can't park inside. So we end up parking kind of far away from it, which is weird. I don't know why he did that, but he did anyway. It's like a little turnout, and we just parked there. And we get out of the car, and I say, don't forget the flashlight and the camera. We're gonna need it. And he said, okay. And he went into his car to get the flashlight and the camera, and he promptly covered them up with a blanket and locked the doors. Like, why did you bring it, right? Well, I didn't think about it, and he didn't think about it, and we get to the gate where the restaurant, the gate's wide open, restaurant's still open, and the restaurant's going to close in an hour. So everything is still good. We checked the time, we looked in the restaurant, we checked their hours. They're like, well, they're going to be closing in an hour. So I want to make sure of the time. So I kept noting it because I don't want to have missing time again. So we get to the beach, and halfway through the parking lot, on the way to the beach, he says, oh, so why are we here anyway? I'm like, you're the one that called me. And he goes, oh yeah, right. He's like, but you said you wanted to go here. I'm like, going to the beach was your idea. Even though I did want to go, I didn't say that to you. You're the one that called me and asked me to go to the beach. He's like, oh, right. Okay. Like twice. And I'm like, this is getting weird. I'm like, okay, so you have the flashlight and camera, right? And he goes, yeah, it's right. I don't have it at all. Why don't I have it? What happened to it? I go, oh man, you left it in the car. And he goes, well, should I go back and get it? And I go, no, it's too late now because they're almost here. He's like, who? They, what are you talking about? They. I'm like, yeah, they're going to be here. Don't worry. And he's like, who's they? Are you expecting somebody? How would you be expecting someone if you didn't know you're going to the beach? I'm like, no, the extraterrestrials. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, we're going to see their spacecraft tonight. You're going to see what I've been telling you. And he's like, what? How do you know? I'm like, because they're here every night. They told me they're going to be here. They're the ones that wanted me to come tonight. And he's like, but I asked you. I'm like, yeah, I know, but, he was just like kind of confused, right? And I'm like, all right, they're kind of controlling him or something. I don't know what's going on. But we get to the beach. We're standing on the sand. We're inches from where the water is crashing at our feet. And I hear an airplane really high up in the sky, and it was really loud. Over the crashing waves, which are enormous sound. So I go, okay, Mike, I need you to look over there. And he's like, why? I'm like, you're going to see a UFO. Any minute they're going to come. And then all of a sudden, boop, here it is. I go, look, there it is. You see that? And he goes, oh, that's just an airplane. I'm all, is it? Because are airplanes usually flying that slow? Do they usually have 3 lights? And he goes, oh my God, no. And I go, and usually when you see an airplane, isn't one of the lights blinking, if not 2? And you see the red tag light, the green tag light, and the 2 other white lights. He's like, yeah. I go, how many lights does that have? He's like, 3 white lights. I'm like, because it's a UFO. He goes, no, it's an airplane. I go, well, airplanes don't disappear. And he goes, what? And all of a sudden, boop, it disappeared. And he goes, oh, how did you know that was going to happen? Why did they turn off their lights? I'm all, they didn't turn off their lights, Mike. They disappeared. Don't worry. Keep looking. They're going to be closer. Boop, here it is again. Shows up. He goes, how are you doing this? I'm like, I'm not doing it. I just know their habits. I know their behavior. I know what's going to happen. I go, keep watching. It's going to disappear again. And when it reappears, it's going to be right above our heads. So you've got to be ready. That's why I wanted a flashlight. I wanted to communicate with them. And I wanted the camera to take a picture. You know, I'm like a serious UFO researcher here, you know. And he goes, how do you know all this? I'm like, because it happens every night. All of a sudden, boop, it's gone. I go, 30 seconds. And I start counting down. And right when I got to the end, I go, 3, 2, 1, boop, right above our freaking heads. It was slightly higher than the cliffs themselves. And we started running underneath it. And it's like going like a balloon or like just a glider. It was actually, if somebody jumps off a cliff and they're doing hang gliding, that's a million times faster than what we saw. It was so slow. It was like a balloon or a blimp or something. It was interminably slow. So we started running under it, and he goes, oh my God, it's UFO. Oh my God, it's really ETs. Oh my God, are they going to pick us up? Are they going to take us with them? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of hope they will. And he's like, I kind of hope so too. I'm so excited. I want to go with them. Oh my God, this is incredible. How did you know this is going to happen? He was so excited, like a little kid. And me too. And we started running in the waves. And it made absolutely no sound. And then while the UFO was there, another plane went overhead and we could hear it. And it was way, way up in the sky, really teeny tiny from where we were standing from our vantage point. But this thing was like the size of a football field and it was above the cliff, probably 100 feet, maybe above the cliff, or I don't even know. But, and it was so close that I felt like if I threw a rock, I'm going to hit it. And then I saw the backlights of it now lit up. And I could see the metal, and it was not shiny. It was a matte color. It was a gray color. And we started running, and I go, oh, it's going to disappear. And he goes, how did you know? And I'm like, it's going to disappear. And it just slipped very gently and calmly over the tops of the trees, and then it just disappeared. It didn't blip out. We just couldn't see it anymore. And then I knew it blipped out. And after that, I couldn't see because I know where it was going. And there's no way we could have seen because of the way that the beach curves. So he started freaking out. Oh my God, I can't believe we saw that. Oh my God, this is the greatest night of my life. This is incredible. You opened my eyes to something I didn't even know was real. Like, oh, and he just would go on and on and on. Oh, it's something I forgot to mention before. While the restaurant was open and the hours were open and we looked at the watch, we know what time it was. We got halfway through the parking lot and everybody looked like zombies and they all walked out of the restaurant in a straight line, like, you know, boy, girl, single file type of line. And they all went to their cars, their respective cars, got in their cars and got in line and drove out in straight lines out of the one by one. All of a sudden the restaurant closed, the owner left an hour early. But it looked like people had still been eating in there right when we first got to the parking lot. So they were like in zombie mode. They weren't talking. They didn't look at us. They just were like eyes glazed over, like in hypnosis, and walked to their cars and left. And Mike's like, that was really odd. I go, yeah, people are weird, huh? And he's like, yeah. So he goes, I can't wait. Let's go back to the car now. Let's go. And let's go downtown and get some frozen yogurt. I want to talk about this. So we go to TCBY, the country's best yogurt, and we order our yogurt. And we're sitting at a little table outside because it was a real warm night. And he said, he like started to talk about it, and he kind of shut down, and he just kind of looked at me, and he's like, well, he says, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean? And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, why are we here? Like, it was your suggestion to come eat frozen yogurt. What do you mean, why are we here? He's like, yeah, but I'm eating this yogurt, and I just realized, how did we get here? Like, you drove us. Remember, we parked over there in that parking lot. It's a couple blocks from here. No, I didn't. What? I drove? I'm like, you drove. Look, your key's right there. He's like, but I don't understand. Where were we before this? I'm like, we were at the beach where we saw the UFO. Can you believe we saw a UFO right above our heads? It was so close. How cool is that? And he said, huh. Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. Well, Mike, it happened. Why are your socks and shoes wet? And he's like, what? And I go, yeah, it's ocean water. We were running in the waves underneath the UFO. And he goes, that's not true. I'm like, Mike, feel your shoes. And he bent down, he touched his shoes. He's like, oh my God, I must have spilled my water. Well, Mike, we saw a UFO tonight. Your socks and shoes are wet with seawater. They smell like ocean. I go, okay, look, take off your shoes. You're going to have sand in them. You're going to pour your shoe out, and the sand is going to pour out. It's going to be like wet sand. He's all, no, because I wasn't at the beach tonight. I'm like, yes, you were. He took off his shoes to prove it to me that I was the crazy one, and sand poured out of his shoe. And he was like, how the hell did you know that was going to happen? I'm all, because my shoes are full of sand too. We were just at the beach. And I had to tell him like 10 times what happened. And he's like, he just looked at me and he goes, that was just an airplane. I'm like, what was just an airplane? He goes, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't go anywhere tonight. I don't even know how we got here. And I didn't hear from him after that for months and months. I didn't even hear from him, not even a little. Like, usually this is someone who called me almost every day. He was like one of my best friends. And I didn't hear from him for like 6 months. So another time, after all this, Bob was supposed to pick me up in the car. Now, it was a day that he dropped me off, and he was going to pick me up. He promised that he was going to pick me up. He had the day off. Didn't have to go to work that day. Now, usually, I rode my bike to and from school, but on this particular day, he dropped me off, so he was definitely going to pick me up at 3 o'clock. And I waited until about 5:30. The security guard where I was hanging out, like sitting on a bench, said he's going to close, so the cars can't come through there. So I had to sit on a bus stop on the outside of the school. About 5 o'clock rolls around, and here comes Bob, confused as hell. And I'm like, what happened? And he goes, get in the car, please, just get in the car. He's shaking, and his face was red like he'd been crying. And his eyes were swollen. And he had like a tear in his eye. I'm like, what happened? I go, okay, something happened. I'm really freaking out here. Something happened. I'm like, okay. He goes, I'm so sorry I'm late. I had no idea. Now, this is a person who has like a clock in his brain so perfect that he's always within 2 minutes. You can ask him day or night, what time is it? He always knows what time is it. So he said, well, I was at the beach meditating, you know how I do, and I went at 1, knowing I had to pick you up at 3, and I set my internal clock. You know how I am. So I was only going to do it for 90 minutes, which is plenty of time to get sun, because I don't want to get too burned or something. And I went and I sat down and meditated. Within 20 minutes, I woke up and there was a wolf standing on the beach directly in front of me. And it walked right up to me and it put its head against my head. And I woke up at 5 o'clock. Like, what do you mean you woke up? You have a wolf, a wild wolf standing there with touching your head with his head, and next thing you know, you're just asleep? That makes no damn sense. He goes, I was abducted. And he like started crying. He's like, I don't know what happened. I have like hours of missing time. I have like 4 hours of missing time. I don't know what the hell happened to me. And like, meanwhile, I'm like sitting there waiting for him from 3 o'clock to 5:30, furious. And he was like terrified when he showed up. He was in a state that he was very logical. I called him Spock. It was his nickname from me. He's very cold, not cold. He came across as cold and logical. Swedish Norwegian guy, you know, he's just very logical, you know, very intelligent person. And he was just like, I don't know what happened. I'm terrified. I'm so scared. Why didn't the wolf bite me or hurt me? Why? And when I came to, I was laying on the sand, and I don't know what happened because I was in a meditative posture when I first got there. And I'm so confused. I don't know what happened. He's like, he was so that was the next story. Then not that long after that, he was at work. He worked until from 3 to 11 every day, 5 days a week. And over the weekend, it was 5 days, you know, but I think he had like Monday and Tuesday off or something. But so it was one night in which he was at work and I got the call to go to the beach. I'm like, okay. And I went without hesitation. I don't know why. I feel like I was being controlled. Not normally for me to go to the beach. I parked my car at the same place Mike had parked his car, walked to the beach, and nobody was there. It was after the restaurant closed this time. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And I walked around to the cliff about the place where Bob had seen the wolf, sitting on the sand. And I felt like I needed to be a little bit more closer to the cliff. So I leaned my back up against the cliff and rocks started to fall from the top of the cliff. Just little teeny tiny pebbles. And I thought, well, I'm going to be okay. It's just, you know, normal erosion, but it's not going to fall or something on me. So I just sat there and I got into meditative posture. And then I realized that I feel like I'm waiting there for like a dentist or something. I felt like I was in a dentist office waiting for an appointment. And I'm waiting there and I'm waiting there. And nothing's happening. I'm looking for the UFOs. They're not there. I'm like, what do you guys want? What do you want? And I'm sitting there and I started to get a little bit scared. And I don't know what happened. I woke up on the beach at 6 o'clock in the morning and I don't know what happened. I didn't see a UFO at all that night. But I think it's important to mention that I was there, I was scared, and next thing I know, I woke up on the beach. Sun's coming up. And, you know, from behind, you know, because, you know, sun sets in the west, so it was coming up from the opposite. But, I mean, when I got up and I started to walk towards the beach, the early morning joggers came out and the restaurant was still closed. 6 o'clock in the morning. Get home. He's panicking. He's all kinds of, my boyfriend's freaking out. Where the hell were you? Why weren't you home? I'm like, well, I told him what happened. He's like, oh my God, don't ever do that again. I'm like, well, I feel like they were controlling me and I didn't have a choice. And we were both just like, decided not to ever talk about that again. It was like so scary. So let's see. I'm like looking at the Mike story, the dentist story, the wolf story. So all this stuff started happening, and I decided to join a UFO discussion group that was brand new. It's where I learned about the Hollow Earth theory, and Captain Admiral Byrd, this guy was talking about it. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. What's he talking about? And he's like, you look it up, you know. And this is before internet, so I mean, I had to go to the library. So I'm like, so I'm not gonna look it up. Years and years go by. I actually met Admiral Byrd's grandson, and he said he was absolutely 100% a valid person. Like, he wasn't crazy. He told me the story. It's everything you've read about. It's true. Crazy, right? Anyway, so at these meetings, I befriended this man who he and I became pretty good friends, you know, and he had been divorced. He was raising his daughter on his own, and he started giving me a ride home at night. So like I would call him and then he would say, yeah, so I didn't have to ride my bike. I'd take the bus downtown and he'd give me a ride back. And it was just really cool. I was like, that's so sweet of you, you know, but it was nice because we would have that moment, you know, there's like 20, 30 minutes to talk about what happened in the meeting. And one night in particular, well, there was actually one incident where we had a party, a holiday party, and he came with his girlfriend and they picked me up and we went to the party together. And on the way there, he hit a cat. A cat ran in front of the car out of nowhere. So he said, I'm going to come back and deal with the cat later. So he drove us to the party, dropped us off, and then he left and came back an hour and a half later. And he looked a little bit crazed, like something happened. But he said, why did it take so long? I don't know why. It's important because owls, cats, and wolves are like a cover story that the ETs use so that when you look back on it, all there was a cat. But you have missing time and it makes no sense. Was I petting a cat for 2 hours? What? Or, you know, so like a cat went in front of the car. So he actually buried it, but that still wouldn't have taken like an hour and a half or whatever. You know, he was gone a long, long time. And I think he didn't bury it. I think he came back and said, yeah, I just moved to the side of the road and came back. I'm like, well, it's been like over an hour. And that was like a few blocks from here. So that was very weird. Anyway, so one night he's driving me home from our regular Friday meetings. And he asked, what's going on? You know, how was my week? I'm like, well, I had a really, really disturbing dream. And I can't shake it. I can't shake it. And he's like, what's your dream? And I'm like, okay, the dream was I was waiting on a bench at the top of the cliff on, you know, a cliffside was, I think is what we called that part of the, I can't remember now, but this, or Edge Cliff, sorry. It was Edge Cliff, I think, was the name of that section of Santa Barbara. It's like a hoity-toity. I mean, not as hoity-toity as some of the other areas, but it's like maybe in the top three. So I was like waiting on a bus bench with a little girl. And I described what the little girl looks like. And we were waiting for the UFOs to come and pick us up. And they were going to take us somewhere and, you know, give us some kind of scans. And we were going to go somewhere else in the galaxy. And then they were going to come back and bring us to our homes, but we had to wait on the cliff, and that was my dream. And I woke up really scared because the UFO came and took us. And then I woke up from that dream, and I don't know how much later it was, but it felt so real. And I'm like, this little girl was so adorable. She had big, I think it was big blue eyes, and she had braids, and she had like little freckles across her nose. And I just knew that the UFOs, that they were coming, and the ETs were taking her. And they've been taking her since she was little, and they're going to continue. And there's nothing I can do to stop it from happening. There was nothing I can do to help her from being abducted and terrified. And she was scared. And I was holding her hand. And then at one point, I took off my coat and put it around her. And I was holding her as if she was my own daughter. And this guy's like really scared hearing this. And I go, I feel like it was absolutely real. Like this really happened. And I'm kind of scared about it. And he said, well, how old was she? And he's like starting to stammer his words. How old is she? I'm like, well, she was about, I don't know, like 11 or 12 or something, maybe 10, but I don't know. And he goes, okay, so, and he's surfing. He's like, I never like mentioned this, but okay, you know, I have a daughter. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm like, oh God. And he goes, yeah, the reason I'm going to UFO groups is I think she's being abducted. I think it's regular, and I'm really scared, and I don't know what to do to stop it. And he like got kind of freaked out, and he started to get like shaky, and he's like, okay, I got to show you something. And he showed me a picture of his daughter, and it was the little girl I had been dreaming of, that I had just dreamt of. And I'm like, yeah, it's her. And he goes, oh my God. And he's like starting to panic. He's like, I'm really scared. I go, it's okay. You want a hug? He's like, yeah, that'd be great. And he like gave me a like this big heartfelt hug. And he was just like, take care of her. If they take you guys together, take care of my girl. I'm like, I'm always going to take care of your girl. I'll always make sure she's okay. And he stopped coming to the meetings after that. And I never saw him again. I think he even changed his phone. So, then came the time that my boyfriend and I decided to move to a new place. And we had gotten all of our stuff. We had moved our stuff. We had our final load in our car. And it was now night. And we packed up everything. We locked the house. We left the keys there because it was in a house. We left them for the landlord. And we were in the car and we were starting to leave. And all of a sudden I said, stop the car. And he was like, like maybe he's like going to run over something. So he got scared, slammed on the brakes. We're in the middle of the road. And I go, oh my God. And he goes, what? And I go, look. And we turned our heads and he like lifted him, like put on the brakes and he lifted himself up so his head's above and looking outside. And my head, I hung my head outside. I'm looking up on the top of the cliff just above the tree lines was a ship that was like freaking 10 times bigger than one I saw on the beach. It was enormous and it was silent, and it was just going. And it's the same triangular shaped craft. It was enormous with 3 lights on it at the edges. And it went very, very, very slow. And he's like, oh my God, what do we do? And I'm like, nothing. They know we're moving and they're watching us. And he's like, well, I thought we could get away from this. I'm like, we're not going to ever get away from them. And it started coming down the cliff. And as we're going, we started to go back, we got in the back of the car and put our heads back in the car, in the windows. And we started going down and it followed us for a while. And then it disappeared. Same exact what I'd been seeing, but very, very close. So over the next coming weeks, I tried to telepath with them consciously, thinking, okay, look, I know they're there. They know I'm here. Obviously, they keep abducting me, so I'm going to have a conversation. And during this time in our new place, I started drawing. And I don't have it anymore, but I drew an 18 by 24 inch painting, like out of chalk, that of the ET that I saw, almost identical to what you see on communion, but his skin was tan, maybe a little bit warmer, and I called him the leader. And I don't know why, but he was the leader and he was kind. The other ones were gray. That's what I remember, but I don't remember being there, and I don't remember any of the instances. I just remember them. And in the painting that I made, it was of him holding the ship that I saw. And I could draw the curves of the ship. There was like yellow and red on top. But how do I know what's on top of the ship when I couldn't see it on top of the ship? Very weird. I can't explain this stuff other than these are the instances 100% I know they're true and real for me. It's what I absolutely saw. And there were witnesses. So I decided to connect with them via telepathy. So one night, couldn't sleep, a little scared, and I connected with them via telepathy. My boyfriend was already home. He was sleeping next to me in bed, sound asleep, snoring already. And I connected with them. And I was so naive. And I said, okay, look, how about if I make a deal with you guys and I tell you where I am at, what we know as a human species about astronomy. I'm taking an astronomy class right now, and I've had conversations with the teacher outside of class, and I'm very interested in everything star related in astronomy, obviously, because y'all keep abducting me, And how if I tell you what I know that humans know, and you tell me what you're doing here? And I want to know particularly, how do you travel in your spacecraft when I see you blip in and you blip out and you keep going down the coast every single night? And I've seen UFOs hover above the oil wells, the oil rigs in the middle of the ocean. Like above every single oil rig, I've seen a UFO. So I asked them that. And they told me that they're scientists, they're here for experimentation. And they mean us no harm, but they're following certain people, meaning me. It's how I know them so well. They've been abducting me my whole life. It's like a longitudinal study. I'm like, okay, how do you guys travel? And they said, we travel along the ley lines of the earth. There is a magnetic field that goes along the earth, and we use the earth's magnetic force field. That way we don't need to use fuel, and there is no sound. We don't have any kind of fuel while we travel around your planet. We're silent. We're using the ley lines because they're points of energy and power, and we're using the magnetic grid of the earth. They literally said the magnetic grid. They said magnetic field, then they said the magnetic grid of the earth. They said there's certain points that have more energy, and it's almost like the ship can reach to that point, and like a magnet, just instantly to the next point. And that's why they appear to blip in and blip out, because they're able to go so fast. It goes beyond the sight, the ability of the human eye to see them. And they also can blip out in a way where they don't appear to the human eye, because they were vibrating so high that they become invisible to us. And they just can't really be seen after that. And I don't know if that means they're in a different dimension, where they like vibrating and then going up into the fifth dimension and then dropping back down to the third. That might have been what they were doing. They did not say that, but looking back, I think it's possible that's what they were doing. Anyway, those are all of my Santa Barbara stories in under an hour. Haven't talked to Michael in a long time. I did see him a few more times after that. We became good friends again. He never brought up the UFO incident. He doesn't remember it. Didn't even remember getting yogurt with me. After that 6 months, it was like literally over, and he refused to talk about it. I'm sure if you asked, if wherever Bob is in the world, if you ever asked him, he would probably remember everything, because he accepted the fact that it was happening. But there was one instant in the new place, actually one place after that, we moved again to the third place, because we were together 7 years, so we moved a few, 3 or 4 times. But he middle of the night woke up at 3 a.m. and started to remember some stuff, and he called his parents like it was their fault, and it was a scene. Just a scene. He was very scared. He's like, something happened, and he tried to blame a doctor. Maybe it's a doctor, and then he's like, okay, I just have to recognize it was the ETs. They're taking us. Like, yeah, they're taking us. Just accept it, man. They haven't killed us yet. We're fine. Anyway, I accept it more now, but I have other stories, other UFO stories for the future. When I feel so inclined, when my higher guidance tells me, then I'll relay them to you. But those are possibly the more prominent ones, although I have a couple more that were more intense, seeing the actual beings, but that's for another day. I love each and every one of you. If you have any comments, questions, or ideas for upcoming shows, or perhaps you're an author or have your own website or your own business in the New Age industry, you want to be featured on my show, give me a call on anchor.fm/metaphysical. Just send me a little message. If you want me to play it on the air, let me know. If you want to write me an email, that will be at metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. So now I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.